are actual American hostages sitting in Gaza right now under captivity of a terrorist organization. And we're supposed to equate the people sitting in jail who rioted and attacked this Capitol, we're supposed to equate them with these hostages. Mr. Chairman, you continually say that it used to be that both parties agreed with the First Amendment. It didn't used to be. It is. It remains the case. We all agree with the First Amendment, but the problem is that the First Amendment is not absolute. It does not protect any single thing anyone says, and there are limits, and that's important. And what this committee has been trying to do for the last year and a half is to chill the federal government from monitoring what is going on social media and otherwise out there, so that misinformation and disinformation can run rampant in on Elon Musk's social platform and every other social platform, so that the Republicans, can benefit from it in November's election. That is why this committee exists.
The time of the gentleman.
And we have gotten no evidence to support any of these allegations.
And the ones that serve in this very chamber, they're not even hiding it anymore. They're saying the quiet part out loud. They want dependency, they want control. And the total disregard for the Constitution and the oath that many of my colleagues, actually all of my colleagues, have taken and violated, it's so disturbing to me.
At the heart of this issue is the growing collusion between big tech companies, major financial institutions, and the federal government. These powerful entities have been accused of working together to collect, analyze, and share personal data of American citizens without their knowledge or consent. This practice not only violates ethical standards, but is also seen as a direct assault on the Fourth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, which was designed to protect individuals from unreasonable searches and seizures. The amendment ensures that no one's personal data or property can be taken or examined without a proper warrant, based on probable cause. However, what's happening now goes far beyond the original intent of the law, exploiting legal loopholes in a digital age where data is currency and control. Banks, which once operated as neutral custodians of financial data, are now reported to be turning over private customer information to government agencies under vague or questionable pretenses. The data being shared can include transaction histories, spending patterns, and even geographical locations. This level of intrusion into citizens' private lives is unprecedented. What's more troubling is that many of the individuals targeted are not under any form of legal investigation or suspicion. They are ordinary people, and their data is being handed over without due process. This flips the foundational principle of innocent until proven guilty on its head, replacing it with a system where guilt can be inferred through algorithms and surveillance, and where innocence offers no protection from being monitored or flagged. Big tech companies like social media platforms, search engines, and digital service providers are playing a critical role in this ecosystem. By collecting vast amounts of user data from search queries to private messages, from purchase histories to facial recognition data, they create detailed profiles of individuals that can then be accessed or requested by government entities. These platforms often operate under vague privacy policies that users unknowingly agree to, granting them the ability to track and share information on a massive scale. This digital surveillance system functions silently and invisibly, leaving most Americans unaware of how deeply their privacy is being compromised. This situation poses a serious threat not just to privacy, but to democracy itself. When citizens fear that their every move is being watched and recorded, they become less likely to express controversial opinions, participate in protests, or challenge authority. The chilling effect created by mass surveillance undermines the freedoms that the Constitution was designed to protect.
Now, talking about the use of big tech and how it is targeting American citizens. In fact, this very morning, I have been inundated in my office with phone calls from TikTok users who have been denied access to the app because they live in my congressional district, and until they call my office and demand that I do not take adverse action against the app, that they cannot use it. Talk about big tech directing behavior. I think that we are on a very dangerous path, and I want to give you my time to really lay out in the most succinct way possible the dangerous nexus of big tech, big government, and financial institutions that seek to weaponize that information against Americans. And I know you are more than capable of doing that in 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
I don't think people understand the degree to which they are profiled online and to which their virtual representation is now an iconic representation of them, nor do they understand that they have no rights whatsoever to that representation. So for example, let's say we turn our information about our purchasing habits over to the bank when we open a bank account. Well, 30 years ago, that wasn't such a big problem. With AI systems, it's a problem that's so big you can't imagine it. I mean, I'm certain that my staff could find the data online to absolutely predict your voting patterns with 95% accuracy. You have no idea what sort of digital footprint that you're leaving behind you, and there are almost no protections for that.
With advanced data collection and machine learning algorithms, platforms like TikTok, X formerly Twitter, Facebook, and others can track user behavior down to the smallest detail. Every like, scroll, comment, and pause is recorded, analyzed, and used to predict future behavior. This data is then fed into AI systems that not only suggest content, but can influence emotions, decisions, and political leanings. It's no longer just about user experience, it's about subtle, persistent influence that most people aren't even aware of. One of the most concerning developments is the ability of these platforms to deny or grant access based on political alignment or behavioral compliance. In some reported cases, users from specific regions have been blocked from accessing certain apps unless they agree to take particular political stances or actions.
And so, now, and you also asked about the First Amendment.
Yes.
Well, we have very weak free speech protections in Canada. And I can tell you that is not going well. And so the combination, in my country, the combination of that and the invasive technology that we're producing at a rate that beggars the imagination, produces a threat to the integrity of sovereign citizenship, the likes of which has not yet been experienced. Right? And that's what this committee should be concentrating on. Like, it's very interesting to watch it because it devolves continually into discussion of a particular event, serious though that event was. It's like
some lawmakers and officials argue that the First Amendment is not absolute, which is technically true. There are legal limits such as incitement to violence or defamation. However, the danger lies in how that argument is now being used. Increasingly, those in power are attempting to use these exceptions as a way to control narratives, silence critics, and shape public discourse in their favor. At the same time, social media platforms are being pressured, sometimes quietly, sometimes openly, to either amplify certain messages or remove others, often with little to no oversight or accountability. This undermines the very foundation of free speech, where all voices, regardless of viewpoint, should be allowed a platform. The result is a chilling effect on public discourse. When people fear that expressing an unpopular opinion could get them banned from platforms, doxxed, or labeled as dangerous, they begin to self-censor. This is not free speech, it's coerced silence. Power to speak freely becomes a privilege, not a right, selectively granted by tech giants and political actors based on what is considered acceptable. This fundamentally contradicts the purpose of the First Amendment, which was designed to protect speech precisely when it is controversial or unpopular. In many cases, misinformation is not just ignored, it is exploited. Certain political groups benefit when false or misleading narratives are allowed to spread on social media. These narratives can inflame tensions, polarize society, and create a climate of confusion where voters no longer know what to believe. This strategic use of misinformation erodes trust in institutions, in the media, and in democracy itself. Meanwhile, fact-based commentary that challenges the dominant narrative can be suppressed under the guise of content moderation. The inconsistency reveals an underlying bias, where speech is judged not by its truthfulness, but by its utility to those in control. What makes this even more dangerous is that many people are unaware of the manipulation taking place. Algorithms determine what information you see, what topics are trending, and which voices rise to the top, all without your input or knowledge. These systems are not neutral. They are designed to promote engagement, which often means promoting outrage, division, or controversy. When combined with selective enforcement of free speech protections, this creates a toxic cycle where misinformation thrives and authentic dialogue dies.
These artificially intelligent systems can do things you can't imagine. And not only can they are and they will. And that will be abetted by the collusion between large corporations and government. And it's certainly the case that the people who stand on the left, especially with regards to their, what would you say, skepticism of large corporations, which is often perfectly warranted, should be utterly terrified about this.
I appreciate that. And I think you have seen it front and center. Certainly, we all watched in horror as the truckers' bank accounts were seized, were shut down, who protested the mandates. And people think that that's such a faraway concept, but we have seen that here with people who have been given ultimatums of jab or job, and we've seen ways that they've been targeted and positioned in ways that are just un-American, unconstitutional. So thank you all to our witnesses for being here today. I appreciate you guys in the fight against weaponization, and we're seeing it more and more every day. Mr. Chairman, with that, I yield.
Gentlelady yields back. This concludes today's hearing.